Hey, we're going to go over some stretches for your feet and your legs, especially in the spring in Minnesota when everybody gets more active. So we're going to start with some positions using a chair and standing. We'll go through standing, sitting, and then laying on the floor so that the positions might be accessible depending on your comfort level. I also would ask that you have a block and a strap. Those two items might come in handy for you, or a rope. Anything that doesn't have a lot of stretch or give. So the first position I would have you try is hang on to the back of a chair, and you're going to kind of bend at the waist. You don't want to round your back. You want to keep it flat. This is kind of mimicking like a downward dog position in yoga where your hands might be on the floor, but maybe that position is a little hard on your knees or your arms. And so you can stand here, you can stretch your hips back, stretch the back of your legs out. And then you can also do a split stance, maybe with your right foot forward and your left foot back, and you'll feel a stretch in the back of the calf. Your heel may or may not hit the floor, and that's okay. And a variation of this stretch would be to bend your knee a little bit, and you'll get a totally different muscle group in your calf. If you're having any trouble with your feet, stretching your calves is a must. And then we can switch legs. Left foot forward, and you put your right foot back. And you try to sink that foot down. And then you could bend the knee while you try to keep that heel down, and it'll get a different group of muscles there for you. And then if you stand, another variation, like we said, is to bend forward. It'll stretch the back of the legs a little bit. If this is hurting your back, we might want to do a variation maybe on the floor a little bit differently in a chair. Otherwise, you could let go of the chair, bend your knees a little bit, soften them, and you could reach for the floor, and you can just hang there. And then you could, if it's reach back up, you can use your legs to push yourself back up. Then, I'm going to have you stand, take a wide stance, and then just kind of bend your knees and go side to side. If that's feeling okay, the goal is you want to kind of stretch this inner thigh so you can kind of stick your butt out a little bit and get that inner thigh stretched out. And this way, you don't want your knee going over your toes. You just want to kind of keep it right on top of your foot. And stretch those legs out. Another good approach for foot issues is to walk on uneven surfaces. So for example, using even a yoga mat where you have a bare floor and a mat, and you put half your foot on the mat and you walk on that mat going forward. You can also go backward, and the goal is just to kind of get your feet barefoot if you can and get those muscles and joints in your feet firing differently to strengthen your feet for all the activities you're going to be doing. Another variation for foot, hip, and knee, like kind of general leg stability, is you can even stand on your block. So you're going to take your yoga block and you can stand on it. Now what's neat about this is it's kind of squishy even. So you might find maybe your knee and ankle want to wobble in and you want to keep it straight. It might be best if you used a wall to hold yourself and do this one, but for now I'm going to use a chair. So you can stand on the block, make sure your ankle doesn't drop in, and kind of get your toes in that squishy stuff. And then the other option you have is to add on where you drop down and lift up, and you drop that foot down, so you bend the knee, drop the foot down, lift up, drop, and lift. And it'll be a small strengthening activity, and you can hang onto the wall or a chair, but don't lean, don't flop. Try to keep your hips level and drop and lift. And if you're having any sort of knee trouble as your activity increases, this would be a really good exercise for you to add on to strengthen some of those fine muscles. And we can do the opposite side. And you might find one leg is a little more wobbly than the other, and that's okay. Same thing here, get your foot stable on that block. Keep your hips level, and you're going to drop that foot to the floor and come back up. You can do those a few times. Another muscle group to address is the front of the legs. So you're hanging onto your chair. If you're able, grab around your ankle, pull your heel to your butt, and you want to keep your knees close together. You don't want this leg winging out. You can just keep it right in here. If grabbing your foot is a little tricky, or bringing it up is a little tricky, this is a good spot to use your rope or towel or anything you can loop your foot on. You can loop that around your ankle and then use that to pull your foot up, which might give you a little bit more flexibility as far as if you're having knee trouble or accessibility issues. This may help you get a hold of that knee. We can do the same thing on the other leg. You can either grab your ankle, bring it towards your butt, make sure your knees are close. Don't let it wing out. You can, but it's a little better right in there. And you can loop that around your foot. And there's another variation for if you're having any knee discomfort. If we sit on our chair, a couple other variations are to bring your knee to your chest. You can either hold here, or you are welcome to grab underneath the knee and pull up from there. If you're having any knee issues or it doesn't feel comfortable, change up what you're doing. Bring it up, you can bring it across. Same thing here, you can bring it up, or you can try this one. And you can bring it across to the other shoulder. You can wiggle your hip. Another good hip one would be a seated pigeon pose, where your ankle goes across your opposite knee. You're going to sit tall, you try not to slump, and you just want to open your knee up and you can lean forward. This is also a good place if you're having foot or ankle troubles to get your hands to work your feet. Work your toes. Use your thumb in the arch of your foot. Push like kneading like a cat in the pad of the foot. You can also knead like a cat up your inner calf muscle. You can go around your knee. You can go on the outside using your fingers. Increasing circulation and muscle tissue can help it heal after you've been exercising and strengthening. So this is a good position to rub those things, those body parts in. And we can switch, bring this one up, your foot on top of your knee, this knee kind of opened. If you're getting any knee discomfort or hip discomfort, you can back off a little bit and still try and lean forward. You can come up in here and lean forward. Find what feels good. And again, you take your thumbs and you knead the bottom of the foot and get the pad of the foot. Rub your heel. Take your thumbs in the inside of the calf. Rub that knee. And use your fingers again and get the outside of that calf. And if a bending forward stretch was a little hard when you're standing, you can also even just bend forward in your chair. That's another good way to access some different movement. Now another option, we can go on your yoga mat or a towel, and you can sit. And we'll just mimic some of the things we did standing. You can put your legs out straight, sit up tall, reach your hands down, grab your feet if you can. big deal because we have a strap. You could strap around your toes. You could pull your toes up. You could, inch your way down. And again, you could bend your knees a little bit and pull your feet back up again. Those are some options there. Then we can also add on a little bit here too, where you do a big V with your legs. And you can inch yourself forward. Again, try not to round your back, but just leave your back straight and just paw forward. Doesn't matter how far you get, it's no competition. Then you can come back up and you can bend to the side, and bend to the side. And again here, if you prefer to do your exercise on the floor, this is another good spot to massage your feet and your legs. You can do that here as well, or anytime you like, for that matter. And then you can roll to your back. You're going to need your yoga block by you. And as you're laying on your back, you want your shoulder blades tucked onto the floor. You can do some slow hip sways here. And you can bring your knees to your chest to stretch out your low back. And you could breathe in here and breathe out here. And breathe in. And breathe out as you pull your knees to your chest. And breathe in as you let them down. And one more breathe out. And then I'll have you drop your feet to the floor. This is one of my ultimate favorite exercises for any sort of low back or leg issue. We're going to do a bridge, but we're going to add a modification to it. I want you to try a bridge first where your feet are planted, your knees are shoulder width apart, your shoulders are on the floor, and you're going to lift your hips up. What you might find is that your knees maybe want to draw apart, but if we drop down and we add a yoga block between your knees and you hang on to it, as you lift up, you might find that it feels maybe easier, maybe it's harder, maybe you feel a little more stable, maybe it feels more awkward, or you feel different muscle groups firing. But this might be an addition you want to try for strengthening your low back. You can do repetitions where you slowly bring your body up and down in a controlled manner, or you can just bring your hips up and hold for 20-30 seconds. And following anything where you maybe extend your back like that, I would always suggest that you bring your knees to your chest again to do a little bit of that opposite motion. But in general, I find the knee is the biggest joint of the body, and the feet have many joints in them, up to many joints and muscles that function together. So in order to strengthen your knees and your feet, you kind of have to look at that whole body function, and it's a balance between flexibility and strength. So why don't you try that out? If you have questions, let me know. But otherwise, have a great day.